Hello, Coach Liz here with your weekly check-in video. I'm just excited to share some new things that you can apply to your health journey today. Before I get started, I just want to remind you that the link to the Habits of Health email and the link to the playback for the Habits of Health call is always below in the comments. So those helpful links are right there, and you're going to want to check that. Just go over the Habits of Health newsletter every week and listen to the playback calls. So in the Habits of Health newsletter, it talks about so many great things, but one huge thing it talks about is support, and that's actually our Habit of Health this week, is setting up a strong support system. Now, one study that was done with our health coaches and our program in general showed that clients on the Optavia program lost twice as much weight if they checked in with their coach regularly. And so they have seen that that is such a huge success in your journey, is if you're checking in with your coach regularly. And it's not so much about what I might teach you or questions you might have, but it's just that accountability and having someone there to help you keep moving forward and help you work out the kinks and get to your goal. So let's just make sure it's a priority to check in regularly along your journey. Also, some other ways that you can have a strong support system is watching the Habits of Health calls. Those are amazing. It really helps with changing the brain, the mindset, and just being in that community of other clients, other people just like you on the same journey to health. So you can find those Habits of Health calls in our secret client group on the top pin post on the announcement post, and always below on my video I'll have the link of the playback. And you can also just search in YouTube Habits of Health or in your podcast app, Habits of Health. And I try to listen to at least one every week. It just really gets me on the right mindset. So that's my challenge for you, is listen to a Habits of Health call and let's check in if you are working on some health goals. Also in the newsletter, it talks about your why. And that is so important, that you know what you're working for. It's kind of like Alice in Wonderland. She talks about, in that movie, it talks about the Cheshire Cat says, it doesn't matter where you're going if you don't know where you want to go, or it doesn't matter which path you take if you don't know where you want to go. So same thing with your health goals. If you don't know where you want to go with your health or what your goal is, it doesn't matter really what you do. So really pinning down why you're getting healthy, why it's important to you, and having that clear vision in mind is so helpful. Also, it talks about sleep. Sleep is so important on your health journey. I see a huge difference with my clients that are getting enough sleep. They lose more weight and they enjoy the journey more. They have less hunger, less cravings, and they have better success. Same thing with keeping your weight off. You're going to keep your weight off much easier if you are making sleep a priority. So you need about 7 to 8 hours of restful sleep. And in the Habits of Health book, it talks about how to get the best sleep, how to really get your brain ready for sleep and just get the best quality of sleep. So you can check that out, but I call it get your skinny sleep. Remember to get your skinny sleep. It's going to help you have more success. Also in the newsletter, there is a great pad thai recipe. It's super good, so check it out. It is on zucchini noodles, but you can also use shirataki noodles if you want more of a noodly taste. Let me know if you haven't heard of those. I can teach you how to cook them best, and that's just kind of a fun change for your lean and green. So check that out. Last thing I want to teach you is something from Dr. A's new life book. This will become available to you soon, but as coaches, we're able to order it early to be able to read it first. And in it, it talks about changing a habit loop. A habit is just something that you've formed in your brain, and you can change that. Your brain can change those habits. And so it's good to recognize what your habit is and ask yourself if it's serving you or not. And so sometimes we have, unhealthy habits. Sometimes we have good habits. And so being able to change those to help you accomplish what you want is so important. So if you recognize something that is not serving you, an unhealthy habit, ask yourself, what is that cue or that trigger that makes me do that? And then what is that routine that I'm in? What's the habit? And what is the reward? Why do I do that? Is it for a quick pleasure or is it bringing me satisfaction? And so being able to recognize what our habits are, if it's serving us, and the reward, why we do it. So let's say that it's exercise. That's one thing. If I want to start exercising more, if I have a gym buddy, that helps me for sure, but definitely setting out my clothes the night before, filling up my water bottle, having everything ready to get up early and exercise helps me so much. So that's something that I've started to do. is I recognize that if I change that trigger, that cue, by setting out my clothes, have my water ready, then I'm more likely to get up and go to the gym. And the reward is I get that satisfaction of getting a good workout out. So that's something that I had to start forming that habit. And it usually takes about 64 days of being consistent with something until it's more automatic, like a habit. So an example of something that you might want to stop. For me, I used to keep my phone right next to my bed in the morning. It was just habit. I'd pick it up, I'd scroll Facebook for way too long, check my text, check my email, and it just kind of was getting me off to not the great start in the morning. I wasn't being as productive, wasting a lot of time, about 30 minutes in bed before I started getting up. And so I just wasn't being as productive. I wanted to switch that habit. So I noticed that the cue was having that phone right next to my bed. The habit was that I was scrolling Facebook, and the reward, I guess, it let me like relax a little bit more, but it really wasn't helping me in the morning. So I had to change that. I had to plug in my phone in the kitchen away from my bed so that and have to use an old-fashioned alarm clock to get out of bed and get going. And then once I got things done in the morning, then I could check my emails, and I got much more done. And so I noticed that that habit was not serving me, and I wanted to change it. So I had to change the cue or the trigger that was causing that habit, and I changed the reward. I got more done. I just got off to a better start in the day. So I want you to think about something that you want to start doing, and think about what you need to do, what cue you need to set to make that habit easier, and think about what that reward is going to be. Like eating your meals on time. Setting an alarm on your phone might be the cue to be able to eat your meals on time, and the reward will be that you'll lose more weight. And so that's something you want to start, something you want to stop doing. So think of something that's not serving you. Think about what the trigger is and what you can change, and then what that reward will be if you're able to change that. And then something that you want to keep doing. Maybe you're doing great at something like drinking your water or managing your stress, whatever it is. Think of something that you're already doing well and keep doing it. So those are my challenges for you, my quick tool from Dr. A's new life book. And I just hope you have a great week. Hopefully we get to talk soon. Let me know if you want a one-on-one check-in this week. I would love to talk with you and hear what your goals are. Have a good week.